backhand return. Medvedev up the middle. Djokovic 5-3 and juice. Djokovic backhand onto the double-hander of his opponent. Medvedev hits a forehand, cross-court onto the forehand of the world number one. Djokovic here, backhand up the middle onto the double-hander of Medvedev. Djokovic looking for that 37th ATP Masters 1000 title today, remember. Forehand Medvedev up the middle. It's another brilliant, gripping exchange. Djokovic goes up the middle onto the double-hander of Medvedev. Scampers forward to try and reach a drop shot, plays the backhand. Djokovic goes cross-court. Oh my goodness! Amazing drop volley from Medvedev. And the crowd are on their feet. This is it, potentially, for Novak Djokovic. The first serve is missed out wide. Enormous pressure on the shoulders of the world number two. Djokovic, far end of the court. Backhand return lands in. Medvedev on the forehand stretch. A double-handed backhand from the Russian. Djokovic swats back a forehand into play. Medvedev goes big. Credit to him. A championship point down. Djokovic backhand lands in play. Now another double-hander from the world number one, on the verge of yet more history here. Forehand from Medvedev. Cross-court onto the Djokovic forehand. Medvedev catches the baseline with his forehand. Now Djokovic hits a running forehand cross-court. What a point this is. The slice cross-court from Djokovic. Now the double-hander up the line. Medvedev on the stretch somehow gets it back. Djokovic into out. Forehand winner. Absolutely astonishing. The most beaming smile on the face of the record breaker, the history maker, the inimitable, the incredible Novak Djokovic. A champion in Paris. His 37th ATP Masters 1000 title. That is an all-time record. Novak Djokovic, the cream of the crop, the world number one, and the most astonishing finish to see off Daniil Medvedev and secure a three-set victory here in the final of the Rolex Paris Masters. His children are watching on as Djokovic engages with the crowd, and he throws his racket into the crowd. What a valuable piece of history that will be. Djokovic comes through in three sets, 4-6, 6-3, 6-3.
Congratulations to Novak Djokovic on winning the Rolex Paris Masters title, and along the way making it a record 7th time now that he's finished the season as year-end world number one. The challengers are coming, but Novak is still out there in pole position. Welcome to another ATP podcast. I'm Seb Lozier, and from one world number one to another, we'll hear shortly from Juan Carlos Ferrero, coach of Carlos Alcaraz, who's had a massive breakthrough year and is set to play at his first Intesa Sao Paulo Next Gen ATP Finals. We'll hear from two more of the debutants there, dashing young Italian Lorenzo Musetti and American Seb Korda. But first, looking back on Paris, where they commentated on the final, and ahead also to what it all means for the season-ending Nitto ATP Finals in Turin, let's hear from Joe Shannon, and alongside him in the commentary box, Miles McLagan.
Well, Miles, what a final in Paris at the Rolex Paris Masters. Novak Djokovic coming out on top against Daniil Medvedev in three dramatic sets and writing more history. A 37th ATP Masters 1000 title in what has been an incredible week for Novak Djokovic. Occasionally the strain, I think, has shown for the world number one. It hasn't been an easy passage through to lifting the trophy yet again, a 6th title in Paris, by the way, but just like he so often does, he gets himself over the line, and he further cements himself, doesn't he, in this conversation as to whether he might well be the greatest of all time.
He certainly does. Yes, it has been a great week. 2 massive records that he's taken charge of. That year-end number one, of course, when he beat Hubert Hurkacz in the semi-final. But yeah, it was a really interesting final. It didn't start out with particularly dramatic. Djokovic seemed perhaps a little relaxed or flat at times. Medvedev was really tough, but Djokovic slowly he raised the temperature. He got that break in the second set, and to be honest, he never really looked back from there. He played a lot of excellent tennis. He mixed things up. He used the slice back and he used the serve and volley fairly frequently, and he used that successfully too. Lots of sorties forward to the net, and so some nice touch play. There were times perhaps for Medvedev where I think we expected a little more from his passing shots because he's so good from the back of the court. But I think the drama for Medvedev too was there, and in the end, as you'd want, both players' levels rising as the third set developed, and a little bit of a twist at the end. Just when we thought that Djokovic had got the job done, he failed to serve it out. There were some nerves, but struck back straight away, just showing reminding us why he's got all these records, why he's the world number one and the great champion that he is.
A disappointment for the previous champion, the champion of 2020, Daniil Medvedev. Absolutely rock solid in the opening set, rock solid for most of the second set, aside from one sloppy service game where in fact he'd served 3 consecutive aces at one stage, but that allowed his errors allowed, and a couple of terrific points from Djokovic, allowed the world number one to break. And then really, was that one of the defining points of the match? Was that one of the key pivot points ultimately?
There's absolutely no doubt about that. These great players, they are predators, and they sniff a moment. And I think for Djokovic that must have been it, because to that stage there was a lot of it almost seemed like a practice match for him at times. Like he was trying and fighting, but there wasn't that sort of deep passion that you draw from the depths of your core. And I think at that moment he realized, well, I've got a chance here. Medvedev might just have blinked, and he started to, the serve was effective throughout, and he just started to take control. I think he was able to push Medvedev around. He had a little bit more venom on his forehand, and of course just that addition, which will be interesting to see how Medvedev going forward develops, that Djokovic was able to come forward, win quite a few points up at the net, whereas Medvedev, you still know there's a reluctance to come into the net. And when you're playing against the likes of Djokovic, 36 points times he came forward, Djokovic just 13 for Medvedev, and probably the bulk of those were off drop shots. It just allows Medvedev's opponents that chance to defend with a little bit more freedom.
Both players alluded to it in their on-court interviews after the match. This is a rivalry that really has been burning for some time, but now you feel it particularly when we go into the start of 2022, Djokovic against Medvedev is going to be absolutely one of the first matchups that people look for, and one of the first matchups that people get really excited about.
I think you're absolutely right. It's, Medvedev is no doubt a player that makes Djokovic sit up and take notice, and it's incredible how quickly he can shift around. I mean, we saw it, what Medvedev did at the US Open, and that would have just given his confidence a boost. And he might be a little fatigued as well. Didn't really show it, but it's a sort of year he's had, and credit to Medvedev that he's been able to keep that to number one, the race to number one alive for so long, given the year that Djokovic has had. 3 Grand Slams, and you only seal it in the second last event of the year. But Medvedev is certainly somebody who has beaten Djokovic, and Djokovic will believe, so will keep that to keep his attention. There are, of course, others snapping at his heels, but I think Medvedev has just separated himself from the pack.
Well, for the Nitto ATP finals to come, there is so much excitement, of course, takes place in Turin between the 14th and the 21st of November. We know our top 8 lineup, and we saw Hubert Hurkacz clinch the final berth by reaching the semi-finals here in Paris and rounding off an excellent field for us to all look forward to.
There's some guys who can really play, and of course there's a number, Djokovic in particular, who's been there and won it a whole bunch of times. But guys who can, like Hurkacz, who you mentioned, if they on their A game, can really challenge and play some exciting tennis. And yes, we did watch him sort of drag himself across. There was a couple of nervy performances, wasn't it, against Dominic Kupfer and then James Duckworth, 2 players that he was the heavy favourite, but he knew what was at stake, and he was quite subdued and nervy. But eventually, when he got across the line, Hurkacz, huge celebrations, the relief just poured out of him. So an excellent effort from him. And then, of course, the other player who grabbed their spot in Turin was Casper Ruud, and he did it in contrasting style to Hubert Hurkacz. He blazed away a 6-2, 6-1 performance over Marcus Giron to get himself into the quarterfinals. Was when he sealed his spot. And yeah, I think two players who've had really good years. Ruud has won as many matches just about as anybody. He's playing some excellent tennis on the rise quickly.
Jannik Sinner and Cam Norrie has been confirmed as the first and second alternates, respectively. Both just edged out, and Norrie in particular, of course, after his wonderful exploits in recent times, not quite able to make the cut. The top 8, Djokovic, Medvedev, Zverev, Tsitsipas, Rublev, Berrettini, Hurkacz and Ruud. Is it difficult to look beyond Novak Djokovic again?
He's certainly the favourite, and as I said, Medvedev with a week off, and Zverev too was tied in the semi-finals. Will certainly be threats. We know that big tennis, Berrettini can play, but he's going to be the heavy favourite, Djokovic. But it will remain to see what the conditions are like. Someone like Berrettini wants that heavy forehand, and he might like a higher bouncing, faster court, like the grass at Wimbledon, where he got the bulk of his points. Rublev has dropped off a little, but maybe a slightly faster surface might just favour him. But yes, Djokovic is the favourite.
There will be, doubtless, a tremendous atmosphere. Look at what we've seen across the week in Paris, and the Italian fans, we know how passionate they can be, and of course they'll have an Italian to get behind. Berrettini playing on home soil, so that is something that I think was a highlight of the Rolex Paris Masters, and could well prove to be a highlight in Turin, just as it was when the tournament was held at the O2 Arena in London.
Because it's a local interest that really get the fans involved and the passion, and keep the interest in other matches. Yeah, you touched on it here in Paris. Those two Hugo Gaston matches were just something else. It was full blast from start to finish, and we hope we get that from the Italians. They've got a lot to cheer. Unfortunately, Jannik Sinner just missing out. Would have been interesting to have the two Italians there, but. It's a nation with a rich tennis history. We see the Rome tournament, which is very well supported with passionate players, with passionate fans. So expect more of the same in Turin.
And we will have commentary of the doubles in Turin as well on ATP Tennis Radio. We know that it's a big part of the Nitto ATP finals. And just like Novak Djokovic, the Croatian pair, Pavic and Mektic, confirming their spot as the year-end #1 ranked pair. Yeah,
again, it's surprising that perhaps it's taken them so long, because it just seemed like they were winning everything. But a pairing that probably teamed up with the Olympics in mind, and that was a success for them. They took the gold there, and playing some really good tennis. They're going to go in as the favourites again, because they've just won so much. But there's a bunch of quality behind them. Of course, Ram and Salisbury at their heels, who've also done their fair share of winning, and then established teams like Granollers, Zeballos, Herbert and Mahut, and the Colombians too.
Cabal and Farah, Dodig and Polasek at number 6, Kravietz and Tekau, and then Jamie Murray and Bruno Suarez, rounding off what will be a terrific doubles lineup. We can't wait for it. Really looking forward to it on ATP Tennis Radio.
Thanks to Joe Shannon and Miles McLagan.
On iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn and ATPTour.com, this is the ATP Tennis Radio podcast.
So the final player to book his place in Turin was the Miami Open champion from earlier this year, Pole Hubert Hurkacz. And immediately after the Paris quarter-final win over James Duckworth that clinched that golden ticket, Paul King spoke with his coach, Craig Boynton.
Craig, many congratulations. Hubie's done it. That victory today means you guys have reached the ATP finals. How proud are you right now?
I'm just so proud of the progress and the effort Hubie's put in from the start of the year to now. One thing is for certain is that Hubie gives it his all every match. And just really happy for him that he got over the line today.
Was this a realistic target at the start of the year?
It was. It's always on everyone's list. It should be. But but normally in order to get there, you got to hit a few other targets in front of that. And so as he started progressing and winning some big matches throughout the year, it's not something you really kind of talk about because he knows and I know, and there's other things you want to kind of tackle before then. But I mean, after the Open and after Indian Wells, I mean, it's on everyone's radar. Every single interview he did was about Turin. And so that you can't escape it. And he was like he couldn't watch the other matches of the other guys that were involved. And you know, you think someone's in front, and then the next week the other person comes good. And so it was just kind of leapfrog. And you know, we're just fortunate enough that we're end up going to Turin.
Well, Miami was obviously the catalyst at the beginning of the year, but he had a little bit of a dip, didn't he, after that, and really had to dig deep to sort of regain that momentum.
No, he's had some high moments and he's had some dips, quite a few of both this year. But in typical Hubie fashion, he just keeps coming back and working hard and working through it. And you know, this is a testament to just getting up and going to work. He had 6-match losing streak at one point this year, and he had some really down times. But you know, Hubie just kept with it. He kept with the process and kept on trying to improve, and look, good things happen.
You're listening to the ATP Tennis Radio Podcast. Available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn and ATPTour.com.
Now we turn our attention to this coming week and Milan, where 8 of the finest young players in the world will be playing for the Intesa San Paolo Next Gen Finals title from Tuesday. Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz was once again impressive in Paris, and he takes his place in Group A alongside American Brandon Nakashima, Argentine Juan Manuel Cerúndolo and Dane Holger Rune. Arguably, 18-year-old Alcaraz starts as favourite for the event, such has been his phenomenal development and progress this year under his coach and mentor Juan Carlos Ferrero. Jill Krabus has been speaking with the former world number 1 to find out more about the young man.
I'm very excited. I think he's a very humble guy and a very, very nice guy. You know, very smart on the court. And when I started with him when he was 15, is something going on different inside of me because I have a lot of opportunities to go with very good players in that moment that they were in the top 10, but I prefer at the end to go with someone that really needs the help. You know, that he needs to grow up as a tennis player. He needs to grow up like as a human person. So I knew that he's supposed, you know, more time on the court, more time with him, maybe a little bit less time with my family because, you know, you have to travel since the very beginning to a juniors tournament and challenge tournament and futures, and then start again in that tour. But I wanted to have the challenge. I think I was ready to create a situation inside of me, you know, that I needed to grow up as a coach. And I think these 3 years that I've been with Carlos helped me to know how difficult it is to help a guy that is very young but is with a lot of talent, and he needs to go step by step, and people, it's putting you a lot of responsibility because everybody's talking about that guy that is going to be the next number 1. So, you know, sometimes it's very difficult, but I like as a player that pressure as a coach.
So, but how do you deal with that as far as, because he's hearing that too, right, from a lot of outside sources?
As I said, he's very, you know, humble and smart, and he knows that he has to make his own way. And the you know, comparison with Rafa Nadal all the time for him is, you know, he's hearing that about 2 years ago from now. So, you know, he's very used to it, and he's able to super, you know, okay, people, they're gonna say that, but I'm gonna go that way. I'm gonna be in a bit of a bubble, and I'm gonna stay with the support of my team, and I go my way to try to do my things.
I heard him say, I think it was at the U.S. Open, that he said, "No, I play more like Federer." Is that
his style? His style,
yeah. So I feel like he was trying to get away from that other comparison.
No, not really, because, you know, Rafa's style it's a bit different than him, and if people it's asking him who you think you can play more like, and finally he says Federer, because he likes to go and very deep on the court, and he has to go to a net, and he has to be very aggressive all the time, so that's why.
And as far as your experience, obviously playing on the tour with Nadal, Federer, Djokovic coming up later, what most impressed you, I feel like, when you were around them? What stood out to you the most?
I don't know. It's tough to say because I was there trying to, to find the tactic to play against them, and sometimes I beat them. So with Rafa was his strength on the court. You can feel, when he's on a move all the time. That the ball comes to you like very heavy, and it's the intensity of every point that he's playing. Roger, of course, his talent. You felt that he can do anything in any moment that he wants, and also Novak. For me, maybe the one that is gonna achieve more titles in the future. But impress everything. I think they were so good, and of course they won most of the matches that they've been playing. So that's very impressive. That it's very difficult to be able to stay at the same intensity week by week all the years that they've been doing it. So this one of the most things that I've been impressed.
Yeah, I mean, your career has been impressive too. You've been able to come away with the wins against them, but the longevity of their careers, your career as well, to be able to sustain that mentality. What was important for you to be able to do that week in and week out from your perspective?
The winnings always helps. That when you go to tournaments and you feel that you can do a very good result, and I think for sure helps to stay longer on the tour. It comes more difficult when you have injuries and you don't win the matches, and you feel that you are not on a place that you have to be. But I think, as I said, win and stay fit, and playing at the end of your career less tournaments, but playing like very well that tournament that I think Rafa, Roger and Novak, they're doing that. They're playing like 10 to 12 tournaments a year, and of course they have Grand Slam as a goal, and they achieve to that they can play like high level in that few tournaments, and it's very difficult to do that.
And from when you finished playing, how do you feel like the game has changed, or how do you feel like?
I think physically people improve. People now it's bigger and stronger, and even you can see tall people that they can move like super well, like Medvedev or Zverev, and before we didn't have that. You could see players as Richard Krajicek or even Ivanisevic that they were like super tall, but they didn't move as well as people move now. And people now, I think they play to destroy and not to make construction the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like no thinking too much about it. And maybe before we were playing a little bit more on the plan, the tactic, and now it's like boom, boom, boom all the time, and it's a bit different.
So for someone like Carlos Alcaraz, who you're working with now, to me his movement already is amazing. So as far as that's something that you might not need to focus on so much. What other aspects of her game?
No, we focus so much about movement.
Still on that. He moves really well.
When I arrived to the team, his coordination of movement, it was not his best.
I see. Okay. So about coordination, like the balance and
balance,
okay.
and footwork and all this stuff, and it was not the best. And I've been working on that for 3 years now, and now it's so much better. Still, he needs to improve. People all the time tells me that
he's super
his
fast.
movement is like, he's super fast, but footwork sometimes he can improve. But yeah, of course, it's impressed how he moves and how he can slide on the court, and his strength on the court, and yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed about that.
And as far as getting to that next stage to push at the top, what from your perspective are your goals to get better?
Yeah, as I tell him, not every bit, but almost, that we need time. We know we don't have to be like hurry up all the time, because he's going super fast already. But the thing that I like the most on him, that he's able to adapt speed that he's playing to anyone. He can adapt his speed to the other one, and that it's very difficult because when he was 15 or 16, he practiced already with Federer in Wimbledon or with Thiem in Rio de Janeiro, and you could feel that physically he wasn't the strong that he is now, but he was able to hit the ball as strong as the other one was. So
he adjusted quickly.
Yeah. So it's one of the things that he has the best, and of course mentally he's very hungry all the time. I think he thinks that
that's nice for you.
Yeah, of course. I think that every time that he steps on the court, he thinks he can win. It doesn't matter who is going to play. It's mentally, this is very, very good to be one of the best that he wants to be. And of course, about forehand, serve, or other things, he has to still practicing on his serve to make serve more consistent on a direction, good directions. Forehand, of course, it's really good. Backhand is really good, and what can I say? I think he's very complete, but still he has to keep working.
El Mosquito, Juan Carlos Ferrero speaking there with Jill Krabus. As ever, the Next Gen finals are packed on both sides of the draw with exciting talent. In Group B, there is Hugo Gaston of France, another Argentine, Sébastien Baez, Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, and finally Sebastian Korda, son of former world number 2 and Australian Open champion Petr Korda.
Whips it onto the angle, but then Korda responds with maybe the shot of the match. An amazing forehand cross-court.
I'm not afraid to smile. I get angry sometimes, but I like to be aggressive and just have fun out there.
There's a lot of good players coming up right now. All the 97s, 98s, 99s, and even the 2000s are kind of making a little bit of a push now. You have to be so mentally focused throughout the whole match. I mean, one point, one game, you could lose the match easy. I mean, you have to grind for every point. You're out there by yourself. You got to figure things out. I was born in Brainton. I grew up also in Brainton, so I mean, I was there at the IMG Academies ever since I started playing tennis.
Yeah, my dad's kind of like a secret weapon in a way. He's been around the tour a super long time. He's made it to the top. He's won a Grand Slam, and he's coached someone who's made it into the top 10 as well. So he knows what to do, and kind of the tough decisions, he makes them look easy sometimes. And yeah, I'm super grateful to have him in my corner.
Perfect.
I'm happy, he's carrying the family business. Now it will be up to him to carry the flag, and I'm my wife and myself, we happy to be part of it and helping him to be the best tennis player he can be.
I started tennis when I was 10 years old. I played ice hockey until then. But I went to the US Open with my dad and one of his players, Radek Stepanek, and then ever since then I just kind of fell in love with it and decided to quit hockey and started playing tennis.
I love Radek Stepanek. He's my idol. My dad coached him for, I think, 11, 12 years. And Marat Safin and Nadal. Those are my big three.
I started playing tournaments when I was 15 years old. I kind of started a little bit late, but I mean, I just have fun with it. I mean, every tournament I go to, I just try to win it. It's very special, including that my dad won it 20 years ago. So it's a very special feeling. Both my mom and dad, they both played tennis. My dad won this tournament in 1998, and so it's a bit special.
It's not bad, huh? It's kind of like a dream come true. Melbourne, Australia, it's probably will be very close to our heart, to our family. Myself winning my first major in doubles in '96 in Melbourne. '98 I won my singles. Him doing that in Australia 20 years after, I won. I mean, it's a great achievement. When I was dropping him at the airport, he was flying to Australia on a Christmas day on the 24th of December. He said, he wants to bring the cup home. So I was pretty impressed with his words, but more impressed, the way he finished over there. When he won, how he played the big points, he played them like a big champ, That was very important. And bringing the cup, I mean, what else I can ask?
My impressions of the ATP Tour is it's something I've dreamed of ever since I was a little kid, and to finally be here and finally getting into these tournaments, it means a lot. I've put in a lot of hard work for it, and hopefully I can keep going. It's pretty cool, I mean, I've played probably my whole junior career until I was 18 years old, and then I was playing futures for 2-3 years, then I started playing challengers, and now I kind of upgraded myself into the big leagues. And yeah, it's super cool. I mean, you can see all the players you watch on TV, they're all here, and just to practice with them and play with them, it's super cool and comfortable out here and having fun. 3 years ago, I made my ATP main draw in New York and played a really good friend of mine, Francis Tiafoe, and it was a lot of fun. I played a really good match, but yeah, I couldn't pull through at the end, and yeah, I think a lot has changed in my game, and there's a lot more calmness kind of on court, and a lot of hard work came into that.
I have two cats. One of them is named after Rafa Nadal, but we call him Rafi.
I played Rafa at Roland Garros, and yeah, I think the first part of the day I wasn't really sure what was happening, and then once I was getting ready to walk on the court and I hear him jumping behind me, I was like, okay, this is serious. And I've watched it so many times how he always gets fired up before matches, and just to kind of be in that moment, I really just told myself just kind of stay in the moment and really appreciate what's about to happen, because my dream match was to play Rafa Nadal at the French Open, and to get the opportunity, especially at 20 years old, it was a dream come true, and hopefully I could get another shot at him. I started the 2021, can I do that again? I started the 2021 season in Delray Beach and had an incredible run there, making my first ATP finals and losing to a really good player in Hubie. It was kind of like a breakthrough moment for me. Had a lot of good matches, played a lot of great players, and kind of just using that momentum to start out my year was really great for me. Yeah, it was a goal of mine to break the top 100, and to get that opportunity, it's something I dreamed of ever since I was a little kid, and super grateful for it. It was super cool. I was playing in a challenger in Quimper in France, and I didn't know it was possible that week, but I think after the quarterfinals, I broke through the top 100, and then I was just so super relaxed on court after that. I was like, this is exactly what I wanted, this is what I dreamed of my whole life, and finally to get this opportunity, it's been super cool, and yeah, I'm kind of living the dream right now. I think at the beginning it was a little tough for me. I was like kind of intimidated by these big players, but in the locker room, being around people, and yeah, it made me feel comfortable. And now it's just now it's normal for me.
A very first Masters 1000 quarterfinal.
I'd love to just keep having fun. I mean, I'm doing something I love, and especially now during what's happening around in the world, it's a privilege playing a sport right now, and couldn't be more grateful for it.
Inspirational from Seb Korda.
I don't think my life's really changed that much. I mean, I'm still the same person. I always try to have a smile on my face and be kind to everybody. And yeah, just kind of, I don't think much has changed for me.
Seb and Petr Korda Speaking there with ATP Uncovered, and Korda's sternest test in the group stages may well come in the form of a young man almost guaranteed to be the crowd favourite in Milan, Italian home hope, Lorenzo Musetti.
Yeah, I think my game style is a little bit retro. I inspire the whole generation, even if I'm next generation. And I really like to mix the game, my game.
Where's this retro game style come from?
I don't know. I was born with the one-handed backhand, and it was really natural for me since I was a kid. I'm always in a good mood. Italians are always like this. We love to have fun, to play jokes, but of course in the core we are focused.
Simply stunning from Lorenzo Musetti. Come on.
School was like the second plan and not the first. I think probably at the age of 11, 12 I started to think like being a professional player. My goals for my career is to win a slam. Not an easy goal, but I mean it's a dream more than a goal. I will not stop now for sure. I want to enjoy this thing, and I want to for sure fly away and fly to the top. I actually don't know where was the first moment that I thought that I could be a professional player. When I won the national champ under 11, I think, then I started to work more intensely and play every day, train every day. Sometimes I speak too much on court, I speak too much with myself, but I'm still young and I'm trying to reach the perfection of the attitude on court, so I'm really working for it. I think I started playing professionally at the age of 15, 16 because the federation gave me a wildcard in some futures, and I think I passed the quali and I won some future matches. Then I started at 16. After I won Australian Open Juniors, I started to play Challenger. Then I made my ranking playing Challenger. During the pandemic I worked a lot, especially on the physical part. I gained a lot of muscle and weight. I think this thing gave me a lot of power, strength to compete at this level. I felt that I belong with these guys, to stay with this level. When I passed the quali in Rome, and when I had the possibility to play against Stan and to win the first set, then when I was at the changeover, I said, "Oh, Lorenzo, you won 6-love against Stan, 3-time Grand Slam champion."
Oh, wow. Absolute stunner from Musetti.
I think at that moment it's really in my head, and I will never forget.
Well, I mean it when I say it, but remember the name, Lorenzo Musetti. It is his first ever ATP Tour win for the 18-year-old, and you feel it will be the first win of many.
Yeah, I'm so happy. When I saw the main draw that I was playing with one champion like Stan, one of my idol with the one-handed backhand, so it was incredible to play. It's really nice play here in Rome. Italy is always beautiful.
Oh, it's on the line. Sensational from the 18-year-olds.
Holy cow, how has he made that backhand? That is remarkable.
Before the pandemic, I think I was ranking almost 300, 280, I think. And then when I closed the year, I think 150, 130, I don't remember the ranking, but was a lot of escalation at the end of the year. After Rome, it was Forlì and Sardinia. When you do semifinals and you receive a lot of text message, And sometimes, if you don't know how to manage that, you can be tired the next day because you're always like at the phone, and I mean, you don't have to be always at the phone like texting. My expectation now are to put some goals. The goal was to be in the top 100, and this week to realize that.
Oh, got there and he's made it.
My next goal probably is to be top 50 and try to win Grand Slam matches. When I started, I didn't have the rush to become top 100 in 1 year. But I mean, I have the opportunity, and I think I have the talent to be here. And I played a lot of matches, and I won a lot of tournaments in my career. And now I have to face with the big ones. I don't feel so much pressure. I think I put on myself a little bit of pressure because I have ambition for myself, and I know that I can go like forward with the ranking, with the wins. So I put a lot of pressure on me, and sometimes it's too much. But I'm trying to manage my pressure and try to focus on what I have to do.
Musetti magic. This remarkable story goes on.
And you can listen to ball-by-ball commentary of Musetti and company at the Next Gen ATP Finals throughout the week from Tuesday on ATP Tennis Radio. You can find that on TuneIn or on the ATP Tour website and app. That is it for this week. Thanks to Juan Carlos Ferrero, Lorenzo Musetti, Seb Korda, and to our commentators Joe Shannon and Miles McLagan. Next week is a big podcast. We'll be rounding up events in Milan and gearing up for the final acts of the season, the Nitto ATP Finals in Turin. I'm Seb Lozier. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the tennis.